I'm finally getting insulation in my shop. I'm going to go through some of the basics of how to put insulation in to make sure that it's efficiently doing its job. As always, it starts off cleaning up the shop. I'm going to pull stuff down off the walls, pull the nails out, and clean up the spiders which have infested my shop that I don't like at all. Then I'm going to measure from the top to the floor, as long as the insulation needs to be, so I can cut it the right length. This insulation comes in rolls, and it's made to go between two 2x4 studs that are on 15-inch centers. So it's 15 inches from here to here. And it's made to fit perfectly in between there as long as your studs are put in consistently. So I measure out and make cuts at the same length that I just measured from the ceiling down to the floor. And this would be a really good place to mention that gloves are essential. And safety glasses and a mask are not a bad idea either. The most important thing to really think about is that this bat fills the entire cavity. It needs to go from stud to stud and touch the outside wall and make contact all the way down. It's an excellent idea to use some great stuff or some foam to go around outlets and plugs, but another thing to do in addition to that is to do the cut and tuck method, where you cut above and below and tuck behind it. If you have your wiring in like this, the best thing to do is to split your insulation and put half of it behind and half of it in front. And that way you get good contact with the wall. Now the insulation is made to fit snugly between the two studs, so it should friction fit in there and hold itself in. If you cut it too long, don't just wad it up, because that keeps it from making good contact. Cut it off at the right length. And then you can use that cut off to fill in other areas that are smaller, like above windows. This particular insulation is R13. This R number represents its efficiency in not allowing heat to transfer from one side to the other. The higher this number, the more heat resistance there is. There's plenty of information out there on the R values and what you should use and where you should use it. Something that helped me out a ton was that I made this cut repeatable. Since I knew the length was the same all the way around, I measured from the edge of my planer stand and put that board, and I could make repeatable cuts over and over, and they would be the same length every single time. Something to be aware of is if you have a cavity like this that is narrower than the 15 inches, don't do what I did here. This is an example of how not to do it. You want to cut your insulation to be the correct width where it will fit in there evenly and snugly and be even against the outside wall as well as between the two studs. And that way it will be the most efficient installation that you can have for a small corner like this. And don't just ignore the corner. If you find yourself with a piece that is too short and doesn't go all the way to the floor plate, cut another piece that fits in there exactly so there is a snug fit from stud to stud and all the way down to the floor plate. Another thing I did was, instead of moving the ladder around, I used a broom handle or a stick to tuck the tops in where I couldn't reach. I saw an interesting video recently where a guy installed some insulation, some of it badly, and then used a heat-sensing camera that shows just how installation affects the efficiency of the heat transfer. I'll link to that down below. It's not a difficult job, and it doesn't take all that long, and you can do it yourself. And I hope something that I've done here may help you in your project as well. Thanks for watching.